Well, welcome to episode 4. Thanks for tuning in. Since we've last met, I've had some conversations with some of our other friends, and the thing that stuck with me the most was a conversation with a buddy. We were talking about financial advisors. Are they worth it? What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say thanks for everyone's support. We've had quite a few friends and family reach out to us, and one of our good friends actually just recently met with his financial advisor, his wife, and he did. And he had some concerns. He's not well versed on the subject, and he doesn't know if he needs a financial advisor, if he should have a financial advisor, or if he's getting the right advice, or is anything he's doing correct.
Do you have a financial advisor?
I don't anymore. I used to. The financial advisor I used to have actually offered the benefits to a previous employer that I had. When I left that employer, me and a coworker were looking to start a business, and this financial advisor, and most, they don't just tell you like what stocks to buy in your 401. Like, there's a lot of different things that they can offer. The financial advisor I had also did a lot of consulting for businesses. He ran a fund as well, and he had a lot of resources, and he could help with someone that was looking to start a business. But since I took a job and the thought of starting that business, that opportunity kind of set sail. The only thing left that he was really offering for me was investing some money I had in one of my retirement accounts. And I don't think the performance was that great, or didn't warrant the cost to manage that money. I feel like I could get better returns just on my own and not have to pay someone else to do it. So I moved that money into an IRA, and now I manage it.
Sure. You mentioned the cost wasn't worth it. What were they charging?
They were charging, I think it was 1% AUM, which is assets under management. Most financial advisors or certified financial planners, they're paid several different ways. The most common is a percentage of assets under management. That's the lion's share for sure. Probably like 70%, I think, are paid that way. Otherwise, some are paid on a retainer fee or an annual fee, or by the hour. So like if you meet with them, they'll give you advice for like an hour or 2 hours, whatever, and they send you a bill. Others, you put them on retainer, you pay them X amount of dollars, and whenever you need them, you call them. And some are just an annual fee.
So clearly it didn't make sense for you. Does it make sense for other people? Like what do financial advisors offer that they might get some value out of?
So it's not just about knowing like what to buy in your 401. They should be offering you a whole host of we'll call it like behavioral coaching, tax efficiency. There's lots of different things they should be going over, as well as retirement planning. At the end of the day, it kind of just depends on how complex your finances are, and also how much effort you're willing to put in. Like for myself, I study all the time. My finances aren't very complex. I don't have like a ton of assets. I don't own a bunch of businesses. I don't have a bunch of rentals. Like I don't have a bunch of different tax implications, and I don't have 3 LLCs or anything like that. So mine's really simple. I just have myself, one income from a 9 to 5, and retirement. So mine's really simple, and I feel like I'm competent enough to manage my 401. And I don't manage all of them. I only manage a small portion that was from previous employers. The stuff I currently contribute's managed by somebody else.
Sure. So this friend of ours, do you think it's worth it for him being in a similar situation with just the house and a 9 to 5?
I think it's up to the individual. And what I mean by that is when we talk to our friend, he very explicitly said over and over that he doesn't know any of this. He doesn't have the willingness to learn, and he doesn't have the time. There's a lot of people that just don't want to, and that there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, this isn't for everybody.
Yeah. The most dangerous person you can lie to is yourself. Like you can tell yourself, you're going to, or you'll learn about it, or you might. Like he said he didn't have time to, and then when we got done talking and we're talking about our plans for the weekend, he said he was going to the in-laws to hang out at the lake all day or all weekend. So it's like everyone potentially has time. I mean, if you find yourself doing other stuff all the time and you don't prioritize it, then financially planning for yourself, if you're unwilling to learn, is probably not for you. So for a lot of people, most people, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, our demographic and the people we're trying to target are the ones that want to go above and beyond, or their situation might be a little more complex. Maybe they own a business, maybe they're looking to buy a business, or they have other assets.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Circling back to you, you said the cost wasn't worth it based on what they were charging and the return on investment. Can financial advisors get a better return on investment?
Yes and no. It depends on the services you need. If you're strictly looking at return on your 401, typically they underperform the market. The market return is the return that all investors get collectively. And if you're charging a fee to manage money, your return is going to be the average, typically, minus your fees. So most of the time, you'll actually return less if you're paying someone to manage your money. I think the most important factor is the other stuff like tax efficiency, behavioral coaching, retirement planning. If all of those services you feel like you need, but as far as just sheer yield returns, typically they'll return less than the average return of the market.
Can you throw out a number?
Well, typically the market over like the S&P over a long time span returns like 10% before inflation. So,
And what about a financial advisor?
well, whatever they charge, most financial advisors, like I said, will charge a percent of assets under management. Typically, that's anywhere from 1/4 to 1% of assets under management. So if it returns 10% before inflation and they most charge 1%, you're looking at like a 9% return before inflation.
You keep saying before inflation. Is inflation that big? I couldn't even say I was straight face.
We're leaving that in. Oftentimes they say you'll see like 7% growth of the S&P or 8%. They always say the target for inflation is like 2%. I don't buy it. Not even a little bit. That's a whole nother story. I would budget more for inflation, absolutely, especially with the economic climate we're in, high debt levels. We can't stop spending money. We don't have... The only way to get out of this debt cycle is just spend money, or print money, sorry, which is inflation.
Well, let's get back to retirement.
Yeah.
So, excluding inflation, how much do you need for retirement, do you think?
A lot of that depends on, I hate saying this, but it depends on the person. What I mean by that is everyone has a quality of life or lifestyle. Like some people don't spend any money ever, and some people spend all of the money. A lot of it just comes down to your lifestyle. The easiest way to figure that out is to make a projection of what you want to make in retirement, like annual salary. And just know, keep in mind, if you're 20 or 30 years away from retirement, the money you're making today is not going to be able to buy you as much 30 years from now. I would project like 4% inflation for the foreseeable future, not 2%, especially to be on the safe side. But for example, like if you want to make $120,000 a year in retirement, you need about $2 million. And how I come up with that number is if you have $2 million and you figure about a 10% return from the market on average, and you take 4% away as inflation, that leaves you with 6%. And 6% of 2 million is 120,000. And that'd be per person if you want to make 120,000 in retirement. That might sound like a whole bunch to some people, and it might not sound like anything to anybody, because you might make more than that now. And if you make more than that now, a lot of people seem to think they want or need or want to make less in retirement. That's not, that's up to the person. That's not me for sure. People think like once their house is paid off or this is paid off, but like everything costs money.
I mean, at that time, bread might be $200 a loaf. We don't know.
Yeah. I just don't see making less in retirement. I kind of budget for the same amount because I know just retirement every year is going to curb that. So at minimum, I would like to make the same amount when I retire, if not more.
Sure. No, do you include Social Security in your projections?
Not at all.
Thank God.
Yeah.
We'd probably advise people not to at all.
I wouldn't even budget that, honestly.
Icing on the cake if you get it.
Yeah, we may end up with it. We may not. Honestly, I hope they just get rid of it, to be honest. The ROI is terrible. Another thing I'd like to mention with that, too, everyone seems to think Social Security is like a retirement plan or something. It's not like it's not Social Security pension. It's Social Security tax. I also think like if you make over X amount, I won't say a dollar amount. Like there needs to be context around that conversation. But I think if you make over like X amount of dollars, like you shouldn't even get Social Security. It's Social Security tax. Like we pay for all kinds of benefits we don't register. It's not a pension plan. Just because you paid in doesn't mean you should get it. It's the whole system's terrible. I think they should just get rid of it. But
we can save that for another time as well.
That's a different rant altogether.
Say you're our buddy and you don't have the time or the desire to learn. What's your best recommendation?
I think if you can find enough time, it doesn't have to be today, but in your younger years, within the next couple of years, if you can figure out what you want to make in retirement, how much money you're going to need, and just do some basic math. I mean, there's calculators everywhere. I mean, you Google it and the amount of websites, the calculators is infinite. It should be pretty straightforward. All your money's going into 401. You don't have like other cash flowing assets. You should pretty easily be able to project what you should have in retirement. I don't know, unless there's some other need or service that you need from them. I don't necessarily think it's worth it, especially if you're paying 1% a year. Everyone hears 1% and they don't think it's a lot of money. 1%'s a lot. It's not 1% of the money they make you. Is if you have $500,000 in your retirement, you're paying 1% every year. So if they make you $75,000 that year and you have $575, you pay 1% of that. And then if next year it goes to $650, you pay 1% of that. At first, when I first learned about this, I always thought like a financial advisor's interests and mine were like aligned, but their whole premise is to have as much AUM or assets under management as possible. So like if they make you a little bit of money, like how much they're only making 1% of that. So like they don't take 1% of the profit, they take 1% of the whole pie. So basically they want to collect as many people as they can with each of them having a large sum of money and manage all of that. In a lot of them you'll see, like we've been in a bull market for a long time now. They're like, oh yeah, the market's doing great, and they're picking all these stocks, and they think they're doing a terrific job. And then when the market corrects, they're like, well, it's a stock market.
It is what it is, bud.
It is what it is. It's not my fault. It's never, when it's a good time, it's their doing. When it's not, it's like, well, it's just the market. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. And for the most part, they aren't any better at picking stocks than they can't beat the market. On average, the market always wins. It's the collective return that always performs the best. You might get someone that beats it one year because they may have a higher risk tolerance, but then when it's a downturn, they lose more. So on average, they don't beat the return of the market. The best thing you can do is not try to find the needle in the haystack. It's buy the whole haystack. That's one way to diversify. Like I wouldn't put 100% of my 401 in NVIDIA or Palantir. Like when it gets cut 30, 40%, you're going to have a bad time. That's why you buy the S&P. You buy other ETFs.
Is it safe to say we're not slamming financial advisors here?
No, absolutely not. I'm one of a different good friend of ours is a certified financial planner, and I mean, they have great advice. It's just, is that advice like suitable for you? And if you talk to any financial advisor and ask if you need a financial advisor, I believe it was Warren Buffett said, you don't ask your barber if you need a haircut. The answer is always yes. It's just like, do you really see value in what they have to offer? Because everyone's situation is different.
Yeah. Yeah, and this friend of ours is a bit of a cautious Kathy. His words, not mine. What's your opinion on advising Bitcoin to him? Like, is point like just put point one aside, let it sit, see what it does.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was my 2 cents, but I'm curious what you're thinking.
I feel like it's always the same story with everybody. It's too volatile, and
Yeah.
it's not even that volatile anymore, honestly. Like, it's not. And they're always like, "Oh, I don't get it." And then when people start to get it, then they're like, "Well, I'm too late." And then they start buying it, and then they're like, it just keeps going up, and they're like, "Oh, I should have done this a long time ago." Like, it's always the same story. A few of our friends before was like, "You should buy it," and I was like, "No, this is dumb."
We are living in a bit of uncharted territory here where AI is gaining quite a bit of ground.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're ready to replace a financial advisor?
That depends on what needs and services you need. Could they replace them? Yeah, but you have to know which questions to ask.
It is very prompt driven. Yes.
Yeah. So, like, if you don't know what you don't know, it's really hard for AI to replace a financial advisor, in my opinion. But there is, in most facets of life now, there is a lot of use cases for AI. I actually helped set a lot of my allocations in my IRA from AI, and it's not that I just asked like ChatGPT. It's like, hey, what should I invest in? It was, what are some common ETFs or index funds I should be invested in, and then I kind of whittled it down through more prompts and narrowed it down to, it must have been 6 or 8 different ETFs, and that makes up a bulk of my IRA.
Is it up or down?
Up.
Up a lot.
It's up a decent amount.
Nice.
A relatively short amount of time, but in it for the long haul, so
Sure, that makes sense.
it'll be up and down a little bit and then up a little more.
Okay. Well, obviously we have all different walks of life on the channel that we're trying to target here. What if you have a multitude of different assets? What if you have like a couple houses, you're renting something out, maybe you have a business or 2 businesses, or maybe a 401k and a Roth and, something for your kids, 529.
Mm-hmm.
What's your advice then? As a financial planner up there, Allie, or?
So there's like financial advisors and CFPs, like certified financial planners. There's all kinds of advisors, I'll call them. They're not all like what's the best way to put this? They always want to give you the best advice they can, but if they don't, they're not like I don't even know what the certification is, but if they're not like if they don't have some kind of tax law certification, they can't give you tax advice. But you may not need like a financial planner. Like, if you obviously know how to make money, at that point it would be more strategy and tax efficiency, liability sheltering like LLCs and things of that nature. I definitely, if you get to be owning a business and having, a handful of rentals and your stuff starts to get a little bit complex, I would definitely seek advisement, but it wouldn't necessarily be a financial advisor. It might be a tax person.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Let's circle back to Monday. You're talking to me. I'm interested in learning more. I've got some ambition, some goals. Where would I start?
If it's just for retirement, a large part of that depends on if you're contributing to money a financial advisor, I'll say, manages, or you manage, or if it's just going into something you're like a person manages all your 401s for a company. Like, if you're looking to manage it yourself, the first place I would start is figure out where your money is invested. I would figure out how much you need to have at retirement, how much to reverse engineer how much you want to make in retirement. And I would start researching low cost ETFs and index funds to invest in. There's a million out there.
Do you have any recommendations off the top of your head?
I do. Real quick, I'll go over some of the ones I'm invested in and why, actually. And just to reiterate, I weld for a living. I'm not a CFP. I'm not your tax guy. But based on the research I've done, this is what's invested in one of my IRAs. I have QQQ, which is a total market index fund. Same thing with VOO. That's total S&P 500. I have VDE, which is Vanguard's energy fund. SCHD, which is a Schwab U.S. dividend fund. VXUS, which is a total international stock ETF. So that's a little worldwide exposure. VGT, which is information tech ETF. This is very tech heavy. XLU, which is utilities, mostly for the energy sector exposure. As far as ETFs and index funds, that's it. I hold a few other individual stocks. I won't call those out right now, just because I don't want people to just buy them because I buy them. Like I bought them at a specific time for a specific reason, and I feel like I can dive into that a little bit more. I wouldn't just buy them because someone else bought them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you want to elaborate why you bought those that you just named to them?
Yeah, so a large portion of mine is QQQ and VOO, and that is U.S. like S&P total U.S. market exposure, and that's very heavy. I did put a little amount in XLU and VDE, and those are energy related. The reason I went with energy is mostly because of AI. It just consumes a ton of energy. There's data centers going up everywhere, and every time we find a way to make energy in the U.S., it is not hard for us to figure out how to use it. Every time we find a new energy source, the energy we find a way to use it. So that was mostly just because of AI. The dividend stuff I have isn't, I'm not like a huge dividend guy, but a lot of dividend stuff I'll use, like Coca-Cola, for example, is probably in that ETF. Company been around for a long time. They're just inching up every year. They pay dividends. If the market is to drop dramatically, I'm not going to say they're sheltered, but they're a very diverse group. A lot of companies been around for a long time. A lot of your big names, GE, stuff like that. Just kind of the limit downside for one. And on top of growth, there's just a little bit of dividend money there. And the VXUS, we've talked in previous episodes. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. About diversifying and investing internationally. So I have a small percentage of my portfolio is in VXUS. I think it's roughly 10%. And that's just to limit downside exposure to the U.S. and diversify a little bit. There's potentially a little more value or upside in non-U.S. stuff too. They typically don't perform like the U.S., but the U.S. trades at a pretty hefty multiple. So that's some of the ETFs and index funds I'm invested in. And that was just started out as a simple ChatGPT conversation. I'm 34. I have an IRA. What are some common low-cost index and ETFs to invest in? And it probably gave me 15, and I said, get rid of this. What are some that are more energy related, or there's not just one that's like Vanguard itself has more than one that's international exposure. There's a million ETFs. So I basically narrowed it down to, for the most part, pretty mainstream ones. If you look anywhere about S&P ones, it's like SPY, VOO, QQQ. Those are like the most common.
Sure.
And basically just whittled it down from there. I wanted a little bit heavier on utilities and energy, mostly just for the AI energy usage.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring up AI. I think I'd really like to talk about that soon. There's so much going on right now that should be discussed.
So I don't know how long. It's probably been, I'd say a month or 2 months that I've been managing this IRA. And out of all of the ETFs and index funds that I just talked about, my highest return, and that doesn't mean this should be a majority of your portfolio, but my highest return based on a percentage basis was VDE, which is because of energy.
Wow.
So I want to be a little bit, I believe it's only about 10% of my portfolio. It might even, actually I take that back. I think it's 5% because I think I have 5% in VDE and 5% in XLU. But my VDE has returned 10.25%.
Nice.
And out of all of the ETFs I've invested in, I'm not down on any.
That's great.
If you guys have questions on like ETFs or if you don't know what to ask AI, like drop a comment below. I'll help in any way I can.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, we are by no means financial advisors, but we love talking about it.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you what to invest in, but I can tell you a little bit about that ETF or what sectors you might be interested in. Retirement's very important. I think everyone should have money set aside for retirement. There's a lot of people I know that are retirement heavy. Depending on your goals, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm entertaining the thought of putting less in my retirement.
Is that so you can live life to the fullest today?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm always saving for the future. I just, for myself, I don't think a 401 Roth and pension are going to be the entirety of my retirement. No, that does not mean I'm putting it all in Bitcoin. I just think it's, as much as I'd love to, I think it's time that I add a few cash flowing assets to the balance sheet at some point in the near future here.
Sir, what's your thought process on that? Like, why are you thinking that?
I would like to get into a rental within the next year or two. There's some other financial commitments I need to work through first. Looking at buying some land that I'll later build a house on later in life. That's kind of be my forever home.
Sure.
So I need to get that land acquired this next year. And then I think it'll be a small house that I'll later rent out. I'll buy it, I'll live there, fix it up a little bit, and then I'd like to rent it out. But that's one. I'd love to do more than one, but that's where I'll start. Is I'd like to add a rental to the portfolio.
Is there a reason why?
Real estate, like rentals, are like they're considered like leverage. Like you can put 20% down and buy something. So I'd like to, hopefully put less. There's strategies around this. I don't plan to put 20% down, but I'd like to get into a rental, and then later in life when that's all paid off, it'll be a cash flowing asset, and I can either use that money to live off of, or I can reinvest that money. Sure. And there's a lot of tax advantages to real estate.
Yep. There's a lot of horror stories too, though. Roofs, windows, foundations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we should jump into that into a future episode here.
We can talk about your experiences.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
or lack
great
thereof.
So far. Yeah.
Or lack thereof. Been nothing but sunshine and blue skies for you.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fake wood too. I better find some real wood real quick here. All right. Well, that's all I got time for today. Why don't you leave some closing words for the folks listening?
Well, as always, I'm going to beg everyone to like, comment, and subscribe. Parting question for those of you at home. How many of you know how much is in your retirement? And we'll see you on the next one.